So it's Thursday, the 30th of April, and feeling really relaxed. It's about 6:45 in the evening. I would go outside, but it's a bit breezy, and it's annoying when the when the camera picks up all the wind and stuff like that. So I thought I'd stay in the car for this evening. And also, there's a few mosquitoes about in the evening. I get bit to death while I'm filming. I'm like, like this all the time. So yeah, it's got a lovely feel about it this evening. It's like you can tell that we're coming to the end phase of all this lockdown or whatever you want to call it. We're coming to the end phase of that now, and I want to do like an awareness video on your power. It doesn't. I don't care who you are. If you expand your awareness, then you get into this different mindset, and you start observing a bit more. You'll notice that there's bigger patterns in your life that are more important than being reactory to every single event that ever happens in your life. For instance, when you become more aware that, if part of the magical process is sort of extending your mind to some point in the future and making sure you're all sort of happy and healthy, whatever you want to create a very, very small sentence that you're saying to somebody, or some action you're doing that's really easy for you to conjure up the emotional sort of reaction to, and keep feeling it over and over, especially before you go to bed at night. And when you wake up in the morning, make sure you start with that. Almost like some people do a mantra, for instance, like I think, some people do it for money, and that's all they think about. Mine is health and happiness, and sort of, I don't like to go into too many details of what I'm creating, and neither should you, unless you're really, really super confident, but I'm a mere baby in this game, if you know what I mean. But I have got this ability to pick things up really quick, and I've had some amazing experiences which have jumped me a million miles. So whatever you hear from me in these awareness videos is based on, even though it may be going into, I don't know, let's say a state of wonder, like this could all connect and everything else, and that I can't prove any of those things. It's all coming from personal experiences that I can never doubt, that I could never take away. And especially when I talk about otherworldly stuff, like other planets being an almost form of this planet, but just one thing different or whatever. There's a lot more I'm going to go into on personal experiences that I never have told many people, and I will share that in the future. And I try to do things step by step, not necessarily in any type of order. There's no order to it. It just comes into my head as I speak. So what I want to do now really is sort of show the power that people have, and how you can remove the fear just by maybe looking at things from a different perspective and a bit bigger. So, for instance, some people would look at this situation now that we're in with this lockdown and see it as being controlling of this, that, and the next, which obviously it is. It could be lots of things. It can be lots of things in your mind. But what you do with your mind is you construct it in a way that it's none of those really bad things, that you sort of recreate. You're aware of the things that can go on and everything else, because you need to prepare for those things, obviously. If you didn't prepare for, if we never had the foresight to prepare for danger, then we wouldn't be here, would we? So, you have to be aware of those things, but at the same time, you don't need to live there when you're imagining in your head. So a lot of people get through situations and things happen that are very strange, and people say, well, if I hadn't have, like, for instance, if I hadn't have got on that flight and flown to that country, I would have been dead because my house blew up in a gas explosion. Or, it was, if a friend hadn't called me up and invited me out, then this would have happened, or that would have happened. So that's how the magical process, the universe, sort of provides answers to our end goal, if you know what I mean. Because you can't not be somewhere if you are there, because you have to eventually line up with that new reality. And that depends on your power, the power of you to align your five senses with that end section. And the smaller that end section is of your life, like, for instance, the best so talking about the financial side of things now, because a lot of people do financial stuff, and they'll get their wishes, but it will come in a very strange way, because it comes and bites you in the ass. But for people who do financial stuff, there was the best one I ever heard was a guy from the 1930s, I think it was, early 30s. And his mantra was, for money, every day and every night, he would always say it over and over, I have a lavish, steady, dependable income based on integrity and mutual benefit. So just think about that as a financial mantra. He's not putting price limits. He's just saying that it's lavish. It's dependable. Everybody around me is benefiting from it too. We're all benefiting at the same time. So that would be like the best one I could think of. Now your truthers nowadays would turn around and say, I'm going to use this process, and I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire, right? So this is where it gets funny, because what happens then is exactly what's happening around the world now. You'll be a millionaire, so will everybody else who wishes to be a millionaire. But guess what? It'll probably buy you a loaf of bread. You see what I mean? So, yes, I'm a millionaire, and then it's worth nothing. You literally burn it on the fire, like, many times in the past when currencies have collapsed and stuff like that. So, health and happiness is obviously a good one. I won't go into the details of exactly what I do, but it is, but it gets fed in a funny way. So, for instance, for all the people who would see a better world as a collective consciousness now, for all those of us who are obviously stable enough to see a better world, like for me, for instance, that this lockdown that everybody else is calling it, I call it an early retirement. I actually said I was retired. I said I'm happily retired, thanks. How you doing? I'm happily retired, thanks. Oh, you're retired? Oh, yeah. And I just walk off. Because I felt like I had a temporary retirement or something, or actually by wishing myself to, and believing in myself that I have this retirement, maybe I'll never work again, because working is doing something, that you sort of maybe don't enjoy in term for something that you wanted. Whereas I might go into something that's very creative and never actually work again. And I don't know where I'm going in the future. I've lost everything just like everybody else. But I think it's an absolutely fantastic time, because I knew before all this had started, for instance, and you can feel it coming on, especially now. Things are changing. That when something really bad happens in your life, if you've been living in a good place somewhere in your mind, that small segment, the same thing every time, then things have to align, and this is part of the alignment. This throws you, it gives you the kick up the bum that you need. I got to try not to use any swear words, because I've been told that some people put this on for their children, because my voice is so relaxing and calming, who will put it on for their children to fall asleep to it. So I've been told off for adding surprise swear words. So yeah. So what happens is you get a kick up the bum, and basically it throws you off that you would have never left that and been as adventurous as you are now, say. For instance, this is like a new beginning, and it's brought on by the collective unconscious, subconscious, whichever base, and the consciousness as well itself. So all three are working, like the universe is working with you. We're all connected. Everything's connected, even though we may not be aware of a lot of it. It's all coming to serve us. So we get what we want, but it's not necessarily delivered in the ways that we want it. And this is why the likes of your people, like I was saying earlier, who go on and wish to be millionaires. Yeah, they'll be millionaires, but it won't be worth anything. The money will be trash. This is where you've got to be very careful what you're saying, your mantras that you're saying, that you're waking up to. The imagination that you're going to bed with at night needs to be something that's for never changing. It's always taking you to a good place. And what you'll find is when events happen like this, as soon as they happen, you just, instead of going, oh my God, this is happening, everything's falling apart, the person who observes and sees the bigger picture suddenly turns around and goes, so how does this serve me? Right, so I would go, for instance, day one, and I was like, I was upset for all the people who were getting hurt and everything else, because there's going to be a lot of death that comes out of it. But at the same time, I was like, well, how does this serve me? Well, I couldn't possibly have knocked those people off that little fake merry-go-round ride where they trust their government and trust their, all these authority figures, unless those authority figures made a massive move towards controlling. People lost everything they owned, and then perhaps we'll get to a more stable society, because it's really bad before. you know, and and some people could view it as going a bad way, and those people who view it as going a bad way, guess what? They'll be in the wrong country, in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the people who view it as being a positive, and it's there to serve them and serve them for their future, suddenly you'll find that you end up, say your country went into civil war or something, let's say, for instance, right? You'd either be in the right part of that country to escape it all and just carry on and grow food or whatever you do, or by some fluke you got this sudden urge to go and book a holiday somewhere where there wasn't any civil war or upset, and you land on the airplane and they go, "Oh, have you heard about your country? Where you just flown from?" "No." "Well, it's broken down." "Oh, it's terrible." "Oh, well, I'm over here." See, this is how it happens. You don't you This is where you got to have the faith in what you're doing. Not faith from a religious aspect, faith from the faith in the universe itself. There's something happens that aligns you with everything that you really see as being true inside of yourself. Hence where my multiple reality, time don't exist sort of thing come along. And there's a lot of things that I have to cover to do with that, and I will cover them in these This is awareness part 3, but I will cover all these things in the future. This will be a gradual thing. It'll be very organic. I come up here thinking about many things to talk about, and I just thought this one felt right. Being that I was in that sort of relaxed frame of mind, and and it's sort of nice and sunny, and everything was like working out right. So this is going to be an ongoing thing, in which I'll share a lot of my personal experiences that I can't deny, and no one can ever take away from me up here. And that's what you got to protect, is your mind. Everybody wants to own your opinion. Have you noticed that? And that should tell you how important it is to own your thought process and your opinions in your life, and how important it is for you to work on it to make sure you create your own reality. Your reality that serves you and your family and all those you care about. Make sure you see them all in that little story or little snippet that you create. And you guys have a lovely evening, won't you? And I'll speak soon.